like when I first started off into this, and like other people in our local area were like saying, "Oh, he's just a cricket coach. He's just a football coach." Do you know what I mean? I've not spent as much time in the game as them as whatever. Like that was a disadvantage for me, but I actually believe that that's the biggest advantage that I've ever had because now I'm working with a massive team. When I coach both those other sports, I work with big teams of individuals, different needs, different approaches, different ways that people wanted to be spoke to them about.
Welcome to It's Not About the Fight. I'm Ross Cameron, martial artist, coach, and lifelong student of combat sports. I've had the privilege of being able to work with some of the best in the industry, UFC champions, world-class jiu-jitsu competitors, and elite martial artists from all over the world. Now I'm bringing those lessons to you. Let's get to work. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is a powerhouse of UK MMA, Carl Prince, veteran promoter, respected coach, founder of Manchester Top Team, and so much more. Welcome on board.
Well, thank you, mate. Yeah, I'll take the word powerhouse. I hope that's not attributed to my waistline, mate. Yeah, but thanks very much for having us, Ross, mate. Yeah, it's great to be with you. It's been a long time since we spoke.
It has, mate. So let's go back to the very beginning. What got you involved in combat sports, and how did that lead you to starting Manchester Top Team?
Yeah, like yourself, mate. I was around when the UFC first started, so it was always like a passive interest for me. I was involved in other sports, cricket. I can talk about cricket actually because we're in Australia. Cricket, football, and then obviously when the UFC first came around, as like an active lad, I was always involved with a little bit of boxing here and there. But when that came around, I was like, "What is this?" And just straight away, I think I watched every event possible. I think if I went to my first UFC event, it was like UFC 58. I think it was Justin Eilers in the main event. So yeah, just I had a great interest from it from there. But I was like coaching football in America, and I started training there probably about almost 20 years ago now. And then when I moved back to the UK, my training kind of went south via age and a few little competitions, and then started picking up the baton. And I always found like no matter what sport it was, whether that be cricket, football, or fighting, I was always kind of like the captain and kind of like an assistant coach and like a mentor. And I always knew that after I'd finished doing what I was doing, like obviously I was still playing football, coaching football. And then I knew that I was going to I really wanted to coach MMA. As I was doing it, I really felt like I could break things down a little bit differently via my experience through other sports and it's all like transferable skills. So yeah, it came up from there probably about 10 years ago. I started working with a guy called Lerone Murphy and Lewis McGrill, and they were like my first two students really. And then 5 years ago, moved into Manchester Top Team and grown from strength to strength from there.
Yeah, I've been watching it, mate, and it looks like it's one, you're producing really good guys, but the culture's really good in the gym, and it's a nice space, and you've got plenty of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Where do you see the MMA in the UK?
Yeah.
When you started, and how much has it changed since then, and where's it heading?
When we first started, I think the slant always against Australia and the UK was like, yeah, they're going to be good at striking, but they got no wrestling. The American equalizer was, oh, they ain't got no wrestling. So it was always like, oh, the British are going to come, or the Aussies are going to come and they're going to just be strikers. Obviously, Volkanovski and Robert Whittaker kind of expelled that from everybody's understanding of Australians. We have done the same thing as well. Obviously, to break it down into finer details, the cage is such an equalizer in European MMA that kind of brings it back from collegiate wrestling and things like that. So, like, a lot of guys in the UK have really plugged the gap between being good and world class by getting proficient in the takedown defense, scrambling and getting up on the cage. So from when I first started, it was almost like two fights. It was like, okay, you guys have got the better striking and you're going to be tough, but we're going to have the better wrestling, hold you down and strike and keep you there. Obviously, for your Robert Whittaker and Volkanovski, see our Mike Bisping really, and he kind of was the first guy who came from these shores and was very good at getting back to his feet. And that happened, obviously, within my lifetime of enjoying the sport. On a local level and the UK level, as of right now, in terms of how much it's progressed 100-fold. Like the level now at the amateur shows, the level now at the junior shows. We have a very, very, very active junior program all throughout the UK. Is immense. I think like our junior, it's like the IMAS right now, and our junior team are second only to Ukraine in terms of medal haul. And when I see like there's certain gyms in the area, especially in the northwest, that are procuring such young talent, and I'm like, obviously it's not about who's best at this age. It's about who stays the course and who's left. But like the talent that we got coming through from the ages of Like I'll even go far back as like 10 to like the ages of 21. That this is like the golden era coming up of UK MMA, and hopefully we work. And I know that Manchester's top team and the guys that we've already got in the big shows are going to kickstart that, and they've got so many guys to follow after that, not just in this gym but in the area.
Yeah, it's interesting because IMAF is just about dead here in Australia. It's still going in New Zealand, but it's just about dead here, mainly because of the political issue within the states and doing all. Because we have those, New South Wales has different laws to
Yeah.
Queensland, which has different laws and it just about killed off what was going on. So it's interesting to see that it's still going strong in the UK. And like, is the backing that you have from the state, is that there? Do you have issues with the cage? Like we had issues getting the cages into different states and doing all that sort of rubbish for years. And
It's a blessing and a curse in the fact that like the UK and MMA is at present like still like the wild wild west. Like we're as much as we're divided into counties, we're not individual states. I know like the state of Victoria, the state, everyone's going to have their own like athletic commission and things like that. They're quite similar to the way they do it in America, but within ours, we're about to be regulated. There's a regulation coming through. I think Mark Goddard and some other people are like really pulling the cord with all that. But even still, they've got such a movement towards like the IMAF method and the junior MMA side of it. I'm sure it won't be like anything whatsoever. Myself and a couple of other local organisations started off just putting some junior fights on, and now you can't go to a show without there having junior fights on. So there's a lot of opportunities for the guys to stay busy, consistent, and get loads of experience. And I'm seeing some of the kids that they've got now, they've had like 20 odd fights within junior MMA, which is obviously no headshots anywhere. And like almost like
yeah,
replicates IMAF rules, yeah.
yeah, and it's this to me, it's the stepping stones. Like you've got to build, especially with the little ones, but you've got to build the stepping stones to make these guys get better anyhow. And you
Yeah,
throw them in the deep end, they sink pretty quick. So
I think to echo that, Ross, I think like I'm not sure. It's a double-edged sword for me. I'm not sure if junior MMA is the most transferable way to get to like full MMA because it's such a grappling-based format, and then obviously, but you can teach people along the way as you're doing that. It's so heavy grappling-based, whereas now if you look at professional MMA, it's so heavy striking-based. So obviously you need to, for me, your soft skills of wrestling and jiu-jitsu, you need them in the background. But I think that's a great start. But I think more so is like what the Americans have always had over us is that the competition. So like they got the
yeah,
kids wrestling, high school wrestling, and everything like that. They gain thousands of people there watching, cheering them on, and everything like that. And it's all well and good winning a jiu-jitsu tournament in front of 10 people in your family, but like to go out there and be and expose yourself to the world against another trained person in a cage and everything like that. That's priceless experience that we didn't have before. And we were
yeah, we
jumping
did.
in.
We were in the same boat. We didn't have that. We're starting to get not so much the wrestling, but we're starting to get more and more of the grapple comps and things like that, where there's plenty of people turning up. But it's not like America where you can wrestle every weekend.
Yeah, 3 times a
And
week.
this, yeah, and the skill levels are getting higher and higher and higher, and we have to catch up. So, and like you say, Alex Volkanovski and Robert have done a good job of breaking that down and bringing some knowledge in. But like, it's taken us years to catch up.
I don't know, but I think that like Anzac MMA is in a good spot right now. I see that anyway, and
Yeah.
especially because it's such a massive fan base for the UFC
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there.
Well, it's the Sunday afternoon fight show
Yeah, we
at the
dream
pub
of
with the
that, mate.
beer.
Yeah, we dream of that. We're trying to get the main event at like 6 a.m. on Sunday morning. They're like, what? It wrecks the rest of your week. Everyone said, "Oh, you're staying up for the pay per view." I was like, "Oh, I'll probably watch the first couple of fights on the prelims and fall asleep on the couch, and then see the result of the main event and go to bed disappointed." Yeah.
Yep. So, what's your culture in the gym and your philosophy behind building your culture and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I'm most proud of like the community here, to be honest. I would say it wasn't like we did this straight away and it worked out. It was kind of trial by error, really. We started off at a different gym and it was kind of like a professional program. So everyone came in and got a session in with me once a day and kind of did their own thing outside of that. And then I just found there was like no team unity. So I swore that, like I said, that my experience in team sports, I swore that as soon as we got to our own authority venue and our own team, that would really change the culture and bring in a community like a real team. It's like it wasn't easy at the start, but as of right now, I couldn't be more happy than like the community we got here. And what I mean by community is like within a community, everybody has to contribute. Okay, so within a community, only that they're responsible for themselves, responsible for each other. They have to like go and support one another at events. And there was a time when I had to like force that, but now it kind of goes without saying. And was like I gained my best acclaim when I turn around and there's like 40 of the teammates of the guy that's competing. I stood there either walking him out or in the crowd, and like just enjoying each other's successes and things like that. And on top of that, within the community, we have like such a big program here. We train every morning and 4 afternoons a week, and obviously we have the evening classes as well, which some of the guys who work come to. But we have like a full-time program here, not just for professionals, but for amateurs. So it's like like everybody probably says it, oh, it's a family feel, it's this type of feel, but it's a very dysfunctional family that we have here. Like even between the hours of, like, say we finish the session at 12 p.m. And then the next session's at 2. In those hours, everyone goes to get some lunch together, shares. Like, I spend more time with these guys, and they spend more time with me than they do with anybody else in their lives. So we get to. I think that fighting always does that anyway. It gets you. I always say it's like life in a microcosm sped up, and you learn more about the people that you train with than you do with the people that you've been friendly with for 20 years in probably like 6 weeks if you get in the trenches with them. So.
And it makes a big difference too, because like that relationship you build with your team carries on to other parts of your lives, but it also carries on to, like you say, when you go out to watch a fight, when you do this, it takes a team to get somebody ready to fight, not just one guy. There might be one guy in there, but everyone's contributed in some way or form. And if they don't, it all falls apart.
Yeah. Non-contributors aren't welcome here, mate. Yeah, so we made that painting the clear, and everybody comes in, and like I said, we really enjoy one another's company. If we're not in the gym, we're hanging out together outside of it. And honestly, like the proudest thing for me is that. So like just to see everybody, like when somebody wins, they all win together, and when somebody loses, they're all there for that person. And so outside of me now, we've got such a great support network, and everyone like sharing ideas, and like a bit of an open forum. Like every session I do like an open forum where people can ask questions. And I always say that like that knowledge has no hierarchy here. So if someone on the mat thinks that they have the answers to the question, then it's up to them to share it, and not just for all the answers to come through me and everything like that. So yeah, it's a really great place to train. Everybody who comes here, like just like says, it's just a really good competitive but also progressive vibe. Like everyone wants to like just improve all the time. It's everything that I've experienced in other sports from teams that have been successful. It's like there's such a thirst for knowledge, a thirst for learning, a thirst for development that I don't believe there's any way you can come here like say we do 10 sessions a week and not succeed. And that's what I've always dreamt of. And now I know that we have a full program and that we can do that.
Yeah, interesting. I was talking to Eric Nixick about the same sort of thing. He has the same thing where the guys all contribute to the group. And he asked them to contribute to the group, and they contribute with thoughts and ideas and concepts and all that sort of stuff to make the team better at the end of the day. And everyone grows because of it.
Yeah.
And he got it from Special Forces and rolls it out. And I think that's fantastic. It's to get your team to contribute.
Knowledge is just for sharing, isn't it, Ross?
Absolutely.
So, and I've been there when it's been one instructor and like it's his voice and nobody else's voice is relevant and things like that. But I don't know if that's insecurity, but I know that I'm not insecure. I think that my voice supersedes anything else. And like just sometimes the way somebody speaks can just speak to you, and the way somebody breaks it down can just break it down for you, just that little bit simplified, that easier way to get into things. And for me, as long as it's making you better, then that's great. Don't get me wrong. If someone comes with some snake oil, mate, we'll shit all over him. We're not afraid of that. We're not afraid of that either.
Yeah. I bring as much outside knowledge as I can. And it's always interesting because Eric Nixick here in February when they were fighting in Sydney, and he talks the same stuff as what I do, but he puts his spin on it, and everyone goes,
yeah.
And it might have just been they said the same thing in a different way. Yeah, beautiful. And I think that's fantastic because one, it's reinforcing what I'm saying. And two, they're hearing it from someone different that's saying the same thing. And then, all right, so number one rule, keep your hands up,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting.
I'm sure I said that. And also, it's like again, it's scientifically proven that that like peer learning is like, obviously the guys respect me here. There's no two ways about that. But like if they respect their peers, so if there's some senior members on the mat, I'll perhaps say something and then point to them and say, would you add anything else to that? And then I just think if they reinforce it or add something to like peer learning, I think there's like a study where like people will learn from the teacher 40% of the time, but will learn from the peers 80% of the time. So I really try to recruit that and push that.
Oh, yeah. It's big difference. Big difference. So what's next on your platform?
The plate's very full. Obviously, I just had a couple of crazy weeks where I've been traveling all over. Like 2 guys fighting in Africa last weekend. Had a fight in New Orleans last weekend. The week before was in Belgium, and had like a bit of a revolving door. We've got 130 fighters now, and I'm like the head instructor. My time at home with the girls is precious. I'm back for about 3 weeks. We've got a guy on the Dana White's Contender Series in August 19th. Uh, and then maybe an opportunity before that we've already accepted that I can't talk about, but we'll see. We'll see what occurs like that. But another big fight, and then
So you're going to be in Vegas around the end of August.
yeah, middle of August. Yeah, we're probably
Yeah.
looking to get there early just because the time difference and the travel
Yeah.
is.
I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there for about that same. I think was it the 17th? It must be the 18th. 16th is the UFC there. So I'm planning. I'm trying to be there for about then as well because I'm going to maybe give a crack at the Masters Worlds. Being nearly 60, give it a crack.
Nice, mate. Yeah.
So yeah, if you're there, we'll catch up.
100%, mate. Yeah. We'll definitely be there.
So with 130 fighters, how do you? What's your take on sparring? What sort of rules do you have around sparring?
Obviously, a lot of stuff is like this. How I do it. We work on like just the basic a red light, green light, red, green, and an amber method. Okay, so say we're coming on a Monday and we have 2 sessions striking. Striking will be a little bit of light contact, so it's not like sparring or anything like that. But within drills, like some people take a lot of like. We try to avoid that. I know who like I said, the community vilifies them. I don't need to say anything anymore if somebody's like taking where it doesn't need to get to. So we do an amber session that morning where it's like drills, striking drills, like that goes 1 for 1. Then Monday night or Monday afternoon we do like a technical grappling session, so that's a bit more green. And Tuesday we spar, so that would be the red session and the red day from there. And then we would say perhaps I really try to keep it specific because I think what you can do, you can get into a sparring mentality where like you perhaps if you know you're going to come and do 10 fives. Okay, of MMA, or maybe like 3 threes of boxing, 3 threes of kickboxing, and then 5 fives of MMA. Like, I do not believe that you're working at game speed, and I think that everything that we're trying to do is to prepare for competition. Like, this is not like a martial arts gym. This is like a combat sports professional team. We're a professional sports club, so everything we're doing is to prepare for that. All right, so we try to make it specific where people can go get the 5 rounds in back to back, and I do it. We got that many guys. I have to do like 4 groups, so I have like anything from atom weight to flyweight, and then we'll go from there. We'll go like 61 to 66. Then we'll have the 70s and the 77s, and then we can have anything above that. And so we like kind of like make sure everyone's getting a bit of cage time, and the match space isn't crazy, but sometimes it is anyway within that. So just five rounds back to back, good warm up, and then job done really. And then we won't do any contact then, full contact, until the Saturday. But even then on Saturday, I don't really like the guys doing too much. If a guy is in camp, say for instance Atiba, Lerone, Lewis McGrillen, Louis Lee Scott, any of these guys that I've got that are in camp, I will take them to the boxing gym on a Friday night, elite boxing in Bolton we go to, and then we just do some rounds within there, and then that's it. I don't really like head contact more than once last week.
Yeah. It's interesting because like we'll both have friends, and I've got quite a few friends that have fought over the years that have got CTE issues now and all the rest of that sort of stuff. And they're some of the first ones that say to me, "Oh, mate, I shouldn't have sparred as hard as I did. I should have just played the game and got better at what I was doing rather than just going hard all the time."
Yeah.
So
I think good to see. Like, so for us, like, you can get the same looks in under a night. Don't get me wrong, even when we're not having contact days, we're still like shadow sparring. We're still touch sparring. We're still like, we're still working on the things and putting it all back together. Like I said, we're an MMA gym. We're not like an historic place where you go do a bit of boxing, do a bit of kickboxing, do a bit of jiu-jitsu, do a bit of wrestling. All has to come back to the source. So there's going to be moments where we're just touching around, but try to make it realistic where we can work on skills without getting damage. And I think that we found a good method with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's interesting to see that the sport has almost changed that way. When you talk to the top end coaches like yourself, they're starting to all talk that same language. And back in the day, it was just go hard or go home.
Yeah.
Yes, and now it's like,
I only know that because then you weren't many big guys to train about. You're sparring a heavyweight, and then you try to get your own back on the flyweight, and it was like, yeah, it was definitely. But that everyone was just learning, but now we like progressed to like such a professional realm, isn't it now? And I think a lot of my guys are young in the game. They got a long careers. Like I always say, like your chin's got an expiry date, or it's like, you know, if you're a bouncer and you got that clicker, so every time I click it, then all of a sudden I'm getting it closer to this breaking. I think I'm not really a big believer in massive amount of contact yet.
Well, okay, let's say we've got someone who walks in the gym. How do you figure out if he's got enough talent, or he's got enough grind, or he's got enough of whatever you think he's got to take him where you want to take him? Yeah. And how do you plan that out? If you take a guy, say, from a early teenager, say 15, walks in the door, what age do you want to turn him pro or have his first fight, turn him pro, whatever?
But yeah, obviously it's not a one-size-fits-all method, but if it was to work on like a stereotypical way of doing things, I'm more interested in people's mindset and mentality than I am actually in what they can do. So my first one, I like to like get to know them, break them down on how they want to think, and also I like always challenge them to like, do you want to fight? Like that's what I want to get to straight away, because I think what I've experienced is like people build up fighting to be something that it doesn't have to be. Obviously, it's a big deal, but if you make it such a big deal that then you can't conquer it, then all of a sudden it's like a real big deal, and you tighten up on the night and everything like that. So to answer your question, the way that I do it, obviously it's a little bit different if they're under 16. I don't have any of my guys do anything like approaching the head under 16. They are about to move that into England to under 18, which I have reservations about, but we will follow whatever things go through. But for me, I'll get a guy at 15, and then if he's ready, like my daughter's 8 and she's had a couple of fights already. So like I put him in a junior fight, and then like see how they get on a little bit, and then if they're like really keen to fight, usually when I put them in the junior fight at 15, they're like, yeah, it was all right, but it wasn't a proper fight. I want to have a proper fight where I get in the head and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, but you got a lot of time for that. You got plenty of time for that. So yeah, and maybe then we do like what we do here. We do our own events, and we only do our own events to like push the program forward and to create a platform for the local area, really. So we do like a shin pad fight, so it's like 3-2s with MMA gloves on, shin pads in a controlled way, and we match it fairly. Do you know what I mean? My guys win as many as they lose and everything like that, but just because that's good experience for them too. And then after that, if they did well in that fight or they lost that fight, I might give them another one of them fights. And then like try getting back in straight away, because I'm like, right, now you conquered it now, you've done it now, and then you understand what's required. And so I would like big it up to him afterwards, like even after lose, like say, I tell you what, you never get a buzz like that again, will you? Do you know what I'm saying? Like just make sure that they still stay infused about it and understand that this is their apprenticeship. And like, of course I want them to win, of course they really want to win, but I'm not only doing it for the results. I want them to get the experience. So all of a sudden I've got a 16-year-old that's had 3 fights before they've actually done anything that's actually going to go on Tapology. So then by the time that they're ready, I'll try to build them up that way, and then they picked it by results and experience. And if they're like listening to the corner, like going through what, like becoming like as close as a version of the self that they are in the gym, and like taking the right steps, and then they look to like have a conversation about turning professional. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting because like I do similar things. So I promote my own little in-house event that I try to match really fairly, so that my guys get the experience that I need them to get, and it's experience. I don't really care if they win or lose. What I wanted them to do is have enough experience so that when they do decide to go up the ladder, they're not being fed to the sharks. They've got the skills. They're used to everything, like the noise of the crowd and the walkout and all those things that you don't talk about other than between people like yourself and I.
Yeah.
Most people only talk about what happened inside the ring, but it's all that, like we're talking about mentality, is the mentality out the back and all those things leading up to the fight that make a difference. It's the rehearsing everything that makes a difference. It's that they're used to being in there. They're used to the crowd yelling. They're used to being able to hear your voice. And there's a difference between hearing you and listening to you and being able to do what you ask them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's huge. So it's interesting to see that we do the same sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and hopefully we're getting the same sort of results.
And there's always some surprise. There's always some surprises, Ross, isn't there?
Isn't there?
There's some guys that you think, oh, this guy's mustard. He's going to go out there and like be amazing. And sometimes they don't do any, like, don't scratch the surface of what you're going to do. And then you get these game day guys that you're in the gym and you're like, I don't know if you're quite ready to fight. And they go out there and they like look like a world beater. And, like, they love the limelight. They love the lights. They like want to be in there as many times as they can. And they're addicted to that the adrenaline of being in there. I think that's why I like to put them in probably a bit earlier than they're ready to go in, because like, you don't know who's gonna, like as you said earlier, sink or swim or shine in there, and that's what you get to figure out.
And you get the guy that looks like Mayweather on pads.
Yeah.
And you put him in there, and next minute you go, where did Mayweather go?
Yeah. What happened to that guy?
Yeah. So as you develop people, you focus on building them as an athlete and a character, and the personality traits become more of a.
I think now, what I've always been akin to. I've always like invited as many like cameras in the gym as possible, really, because I understand that it's a business, isn't it? And like not everyone's gonna, not to like anyone not be their organic self. And like some people like glow in front of a camera, like some people glow in front of in the cage, and some people like it's not really ever going to be something that they're happy and comfortable doing. So, but I just think getting those reps in and having a camera is like, listen, don't get nervous. It's just a geek with a camera. They're only going to ask you questions that you can answer anyway. So just try and normalize everything, really, but especially normalize the fact that the more famous you're going to get, the more questions you're going to get, the more cameras you're going to be put in front of. But the more it's on you just to be your organic self, and like, yeah, okay, we're going to get some guys that are big personalities, like the likes. I've got a kid called Lewis McGrillen who's a massive personality. And then I have guys that are understated, like Ron Murphy. So it's like, but still, when they're on, I've been more when I just hear them talk about themselves and like get themselves across very well and like present themselves. So I think it's just reps in front of a camera. I used to have a girl who fought for us called Dakota Ditchever, and then I see her now after the media training that we started off here, and obviously she's gone on and done lots of media after. And I watch her and I just think, whoa, you are like the polished article in now in front of a camera. And I have like a Cameroonian athlete. English isn't even his first language, and then just 2 days ago, he was on the Errol Helwani show, and he came across like unbelievable. And I just remember I was sat on the couch, like smiling, like we've done some good work with this kid. And so yes, we need that, and we need it all together. We can't just like it's like if I'm good at grappling, I'm good at striking, and I get better at grappling. I'm like, all right, my striking is going to catch up. I'm like, why can't we just have a thing build up at the same time? And I think being able to talk about yourself and present yourself is the nature of the business, isn't it? It's entertainment. It's not really sport sometimes.
Yeah, and it is. It's entertainment, and that's what people don't understand. It is an entertainment industry. But like you say about the media training, I was talking to Angie Parr and Jesse James Parr a couple of days ago, and Jesse Parr, what is he? He's 17, confident in front of the camera. He knows how to talk and all the rest of it. And you get another 17-year-old who's never been in front of a camera and swears as like a trooper and blah, blah, blah. And okay, mate. Whoa. Which one's going to get sponsorship? Which one's going to get taken up in the game? You just know that all the parts need to be right. The media training, the physical training, the mental training. Do you do that? Do you bring anyone in for the psychological part of it, or you just do it yourself?
Yeah, without to blow my own trumpet, I think that like the mentality thing is kind of the thing that I would perhaps be even like as good as coaching MMA. I think that if I wasn't to do this, then I would kind of do something along those lines. So I do sporadically bring people in. I don't profess that I've known like that I know everything. So we've had like guys in like breathing coaches, which obviously help towards like the mental psyche, and then we've had some guys come in like with a little bit of hypnosis. I put the guys in touch with some, like say if I felt like they needed a little bit of one-to-one extra help with somebody they didn't know as well, like almost like their outside therapy, rather than sometimes it's easier to say what the other person wants you to hear if you already know them, but you can speak a bit more freely on a one-to-one thing. But in terms of like the collective mindset, I would perhaps like suggest that was like perhaps my biggest strength. So yeah, that's what we have here, like that. And also I think that's all fighting is. That's all fighting is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good you are. If you think you can or you can't, you're right, isn't it? It's what it is.
Yeah, and do you think some of your coaching in other sports has helped you with that as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think that I like when I first started off into this, and like other people in our local area were like saying, "Oh, he's just a cricket coach. He's just a football coach." Do you know what I mean? I've not spent as much time in the game as them as whatever. Like that was a disadvantage for me, but I actually believe that that's the biggest advantage that I've ever had because now I'm working with a massive team. When I coach both those other sports, I work with big teams of individuals, different needs, different approaches, different ways that people wanted to be spoke to them about. Like some people need an arm around the shoulder, some people need a kick up the arse. It's that and understanding how they respond to it, and that's how like that's why I like to understand their mentality from the get go, because then I'm not going to know how they're going to respond to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that because I'm getting old and grumpy, and I don't handle some of the young guys as well as I should because like I think, mate, pull your socks up, get on with the job, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And then
yeah,
also, what to give you a bit of feedback on that, Rod, I think it's just man management. And then within man management, you have to speak their language. So, like,
yep,
I spend enough time with them. I know how they speak to their peers, how they speak to their friends, how they're chatting to somebody on the phone. And I won't try break it down in my vernacular. I like to say to them, like, depending on how old they are, I'll speak to them the way that they're speaking to other people because then it's like, and it resonates a bit more. And then I'm not just a guy who used to have ginger hair and now I've got a grey beard. I'm someone that's kind of on their level as well. So yeah.
yeah, and we all get that experience over time that we want to share the knowledge and all the rest of that sort of stuff. And you know, there's a saying in martial arts: when the student is ready, the master will appear. If they're ready and you can get it across to them, they'll absorb it and get better. Sometimes it's like hitting their head against the brick wall until that happens.
Yeah.
We get there. I've
Yeah,
got
we we
grey
we
hair.
we plow forward, mate, don't we? We plow forward.
So you've worn many hats over the years.
Yeah.
You know, coach, manager, promoter, gym owner.
Yeah. I still
That's
wear
why
all
I'm
of these,
grey. I'm
mate. Yeah.
pretty sure.
I still
Yeah.
wear all of these
Which
hats that you've mentioned so far.
which one has been the most challenging?
Oof, gym owner, isn't it? Hands down, that like I love fighting. I love coaching. I knew forever that I wanted to be a coach. I love coming to the gym every single day and getting invested with these guys and everything like that. But yeah, business and things like that. Oof, it's never really been. I'm not. I think as well. It's like such a two sides of the same message, isn't it? I'll preach about how good this community is. And I'm really a big fan of community. That's all I'm worried. But behind community, there has to be financial reparations for the person that's running the community. And as much as you don't see yourself as that, then that's the most difficult thing for me. It's always been the most difficult transition for me to be a gym manager. So I've now like thankfully, because the gym's been going so well, we have like a school here now for naughty kids that are out of education. I can't call them naughty kids, but for kids that are out of education at the moment. And then, so now I've been able to like utilize somebody else to manage the gym. So now that was definitely the hardest. I've not even thought about promoting actually. That's really very, very, very stressful, mate. Yeah. I think I've got 2 messages while I've been on here saying I'm pulling out of the fight next week. So that's also stressful. But yeah, like I always said to my friends when they came and helped me, I said, all I want to do is coach. I know that I can be the best in the world at this if I'm allowed to do this and this solely. So I'm very, very close to like being just a full-time coach, and the juice has been worth the squeeze with everything else. And it's all relative, isn't it? I could be outside,
Yeah.
mate, in the pissing down Manchester rain with my yellows on.
And it's interesting that you say that, you know, you got to get the financial reward for the effort. But once you do get that financial reward, we tend to spend that financial reward on doing other things for other people anyhow.
Yeah.
As a coach, that's what we're about. We're about other people.
Yeah.
So you just seem to grow and collect more things and more people and more
Yeah.
ways of helping everyone.
But what I'm most interested in collecting is just moments. You know, I live for the moments and like the experiences and the experience that I've had with sharing like such great moments with some people that are very close to me, and then building everything forward. So you know, like I said, we'll reinvest in the community, and I feel like everything that comes back to this, like we're looking to get like a premises that's maybe a double, triple the size of what we already have now, and everything that we make back will go into that and everything like that, because we're like our goals and ambition here without a ceiling. So yeah, but definitely owning the gym is a hard.
Yeah, and I don't know what the economy is like over there. The economy is tough here at the moment, but the the way marketing's changing so quickly and all those sort of things, and you got to keep on top of that, as well as keeping your coaching going, as well as keeping everything else happening.
Yeah.
Are the toilets clean? Is the fridge full? Is the
Yeah. Thankfully, that's all. Because I'm like thinking back, like for the past 12 months, that's kind of been out of my inner psyche. I've had like the guys have been doing such a good job of. I mean, obviously we meet and talk about it, but from the day to day, that's really in my like out of my mentality now. Like, all I'm thinking about is how I can make the program better, how I can make this guy better, how I can get more guys from Africa because they're unbelievable, and then just go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I've been doing it over the last 12 months. I've been slowly stepping myself out of taking classes and doing things. And I'm still here 90% of the time, and I'll still be on the mats just watching, but I'm not the coach anymore. I've got other guys doing a lot of the coaching, and I'm just there in the background, and I might suggest to the guys taking a class that he says things this way or that way.
Yeah. Mentoring.
And coaching the coaches. And I think that's going to benefit my community way better than me spending 95% of my time actually coaching every class. So how important is it to build the local community, that like the Manchester fight community, besides your own gym, but the actual fight community that supports the whole industry?
Yeah, it's integral, isn't it? And that's if we weren't looking at that side of it, then we would kind of be doing everything that we speak about a bit of a disservice. We're like Liverpool, which is our arch enemies really in terms of things. They've always been kind of ahead of Manchester in terms of mixed martial arts, and that's why I kind of wanted to do this gym and become like the first super gym in the area and push forward from that. But like, I believe that if you raise your standards and you don't help other people raise just their standards around you, then your standards don't really get raised. Like, everybody in the area knows that they can come here, lean on us, ask us for any bits of advice, and they can come down and do some training. Like, no politics. And then outside of that, to like now because of the success we've been having on the world stage, like the local community has really like took notice, and we have like a lot of guys that are just coming in like just to train, just to be around the vibe of the gym. And then obviously we've been reaching out into the greater community because we have some great mentors here, so we regularly go to the talks in the schools with affected children, with kids that are struggling at home, and really paying it forward and giving it back on like a local level. So it's that to me, like, because I've got so many mentors that have walked down the path that these kids are close to walking down themselves, and to get in there, and like the teachers can't believe how well behaved they are with us versus how they are with them. And I'm like saying, but because we speak to them on the level and we understand what they've gone through, and there's a level of respect there, not because we can choke them out or anything like that, just because they know that we've kind of walked that path. So it's been great, and we're only just scratching the surface of that. So we have like I said, now we have a school now for kids, our education. We're going to expand that and become that even more, and the outreach program will go to the greater community even further.
Yeah, that's amazing. Eugene Beerman at City Kickboxing has the same sort of thing. He's built the community in New Zealand to the point where everyone just goes to train at Eugene's, and it doesn't matter what gym affiliate you've got, you just go to Eugene's, and everyone gets better and better and better and better. And then they give back to the community, and then they had the Falvake death, and they've got a trust going, and they're adding back to the community again. And it's just amazing to watch what MMA is able to contribute back to the society. And people put us in that, I know you guys are fighters, but man, we do some amazing things as a community.
Yeah, because I think what fighting teaches you that you don't really have much to prove. So it's like if you don't have much to prove, you're very free, and that you can go out there and prove what like the type of person you are versus like who people would frame you as. And a lot of people that are like scream they would do charity, like don't train, they don't really do that. So now we just go out there and like not to like prove people wrong, but just to be ourselves, just give people better opportunities than perhaps we had. And I'm blessed to be around like a team of people who really want to do that.
So if you could give one piece of advice to somebody starting out as a coach,
okay,
what would it be?
Well, one piece of advice, I think.
Well, you could give them multiple.
Yeah. I think concepts over combinations is always like a great piece of advice from a coaching standpoint. But I think also like the biggest thing I would say is this: Like the way that you speak, to people in private and the way that you speak to people in public, it has to be consistent because it becomes Chinese whispers otherwise. So let's make sure that your message is always the same. So then the community knows that the way that they're thought of is the same as the other person you were previously speaking to. Just because the people are watching, aren't they? And like, think about this, as much as it's a team sport, it's a competitive sport, and like, it's your career, isn't it? So it's like, you got to make sure that you're giving everybody the same swing of the bat, and because otherwise it becomes Chinese. Remember when he did that for you? Remember when he did all this for you? And also, if you believe that anybody on the team is becoming like cancerous to the message, don't try and appease those people. Get rid of those people, and then your team will. You might think you'd lose something in the short term. Maybe it's your best fight you've got. Maybe it's the best fight you got on the team that are becoming cancerous. Get rid of them. The whole team will be better before it, and you'll be better for it. It doesn't matter what they could bring you in terms of acclaim on the world stage or whatever. What they'll take away from you in the way that they will become cancerous and a bigger cancer for the team is not worth it. So a smooth sea will emanate from there.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've seen that happen so many times in gyms where they support one guy because he's got some skill and he's doing really well and da 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 da, and then next minute he's ripped the gym apart.
Yeah.
And
he gets a pass. He gets a
Yeah.
pass, and the standards come down. My guys know that they've got to be on the mat at 10 a.m. in the morning. Like, for my guys who were at the top of the sport are on the mat at 9:30. So, like, okay, at first I had to instill that and make sure that this is the message. Listen, this is your job. This is your job. You show up for time for your job. Look at the way, keep good standards, because the way you do one thing is the way that you do everything. But I now have shining examples of the guys at the top of the sport. They're getting in. Like, it's like the Cristiano Ronaldo effect. Like, you hear everyone speak about. He gets to training first. He stays behind for 2 hours later. I'm not saying like overtrain, like do 6 hours of training as ever, but come and be ready. Should like have the example that this is my job. I approach it as a professional and everything like that. And from that, instilling that level of culture in the gym, everyone follows that. And I always say, I'll tell you what to do, but there's some people here that will really show you what to do. So it's up to you want to listen to. But
yeah, and it's the guy that turns up half an hour early with his kit ready.
Yeah.
Oh, not the guy who goes 5 minutes late for the mat. Where did I put my gloves on? I haven't wrapped my hands yet.
Yeah, and then they get a pass, and then everybody thinks that that's it then, and then the standards go down a little bit. Or then it's maybe you're doing a technique and they say, oh, I would do it like that. I would do it like that. And when, like, we don't have that here, but because, like I said, it's an open forum. But if somebody comes in and says, I would do that, I'll like stop the class. I'm like, okay, you come and show us your technique now. Because I don't like, because then you get factions on the team and you get little cliques on the team. It's not realistic to think that 100 out of 130 people fighting and competing, that everybody's going to like each other. But I don't want to have factions. I don't want to have cliques. That's another way that things can get out of control.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that says, break the cliques early. Don't let them get cliques. Yeah. And it makes such a difference to the fact that so the gym can grow. Because they don't. They get a little click and he takes off, and then a little click and he takes off. And then,
oh, you come over here with me. This guy's all right. And like, listen, my door is open, but it's open in both ways. I'm not, like I said, I'm not insecure about people coming and going. If people think that for the betterment of their career that they should go elsewhere, please just come and shake my hand, and I will wish you all the very best. But I just think in terms of team unity, in terms of coach unity, in terms of like professional standards, you should always be thinking about like our main slogan here is one team, one dream. And that's it. So, like, if you want to be part of this team, everybody's welcome. If you want to create your own path and be on your own team, like, we'll love you. We'll give you all the blessings, but it's not kind of what we do here.
Yep. So, what's the dream matchup for some of your fighters now? What's the next one?
Yeah. The dream matchup for Lerone Murphy would be Alex Volkanovski, wouldn't it? That'd be the fight that I would like next, and I think that he's befitting of that. And even if it's not in the next fight, I'm sure that he's not long since thereafter, or whoever would be the champ then. Because obviously, I feel like they're giving Gene Silver a bit of a push, so we'll see what happens in that fight with Lopez. So yeah, I'd love to see Lerone Murphy versus Alex Volkanovski. I'd even do it in Australia. I think that'd be a great...
I believe they're coming back to Perth shortly.
Yeah, Perth, I think. Man. It's not really Australia, that is it? It's like quite close to England, isn't it? So, yeah. I would love that for him. Obviously, a T before only last weekend. we actually have a fight already scheduled that'll probably be announced in the next couple of days. My dream fight for him, I actually think like Vittori is a good fight for him. And don't know if we need that straight away. It's like the UFC going to build him up and give him some good opponents in order to build his name up. But I think a lot of the guys in the top 15 are great fights for him. I got a kid called for there's so many, right? Yeah. Like my dream fight, I would love to see like Lewis McGrillen, who's a bantamweight in the PFL. He's like the European champion. I would love to see him fight like a big name in the UFC. O'Malley type stuff, another striker and things like that, and go toe to toe with him. And I got
It's a great position. I watched you when you opened the gym and all the rest of it. And I'm sitting there going,
yeah,
yes, come on, Carl, let's go.
Thank
and
you.
it's great to see. It's great to see how it's developed and that you're getting the successes that you are, and that comes down to good, like you say, good coaching, good culture. And it's great to watch. It's fantastic to see the industry growing and you developing what you like to do and getting where you want to get.
Yeah, we're really going to put Manchester on the map, you know. I do want to speak about another kid. I've got so many guys, but there's a kid that I've got in the PFL. He's like a 10-0 featherweight. He's only 21 years old, called Ibrahim Ibragimov. Yeah, and like I want to see him against a top 15 featherweight in the UFC because his skill set and his like all round technical ability and his mentality is just a different level. So I would put him in with anyone in the top 15 now. Obviously not Lerone. I see that every week, mate. I'm blessed to watch them pay-per-view rounds every week. So, but yeah, I'd love to see him there in the mix with those guys. He would be like a world star. But yeah, just need the opportunities. We've got maybe 50 pros, 80 amateurs, and a lot of those pros are going to go on to do big things. Got another guy about on the verge of the UFC, Louis Lee Scott. So it's a good time to be.
So in the UK, you're amateur versus pro. Oh, and here's a interesting question: how do you decide when someone is to turn someone pro after, say, an amateur career? What sways it? What level do you put them in?
Yeah. There's not a prerequisite of how many fights. Like, I think a lot of coaches like, I want to see my guy fight 15 times at amateur before they turn pro. And I think there's some guys who do need that. But I also think like what's more damaging the fights is the fight camp. So, okay, if you're having those 15 fights and you're doing like fights every 4 weeks or doing a bridge camp, maybe you do a title fight, then that's okay. For example, I probably like my guys to have around 8 good competitive matches before I would even contemplate on getting them to turn professional. And the last 2 would probably be title fights, just so then they get used to the 5 rounds. I would prefer in the UK they do 5 3-minute rounds at amateur for a title fight. I would prefer them to do 3 5s. Because, like, what are you preparing yourself for to turn professional? So, like, it would make sense to me if they was to then do 3 5s before they went to professional. Then all of a sudden, because this is your apprenticeship, you're getting prepared. This is amateur rule set. You can't get knee to the head. You got the bumpers on or whatever, and then obviously, but you're going for the time of it all. And sports depicted by rules and time, isn't it? So that's what I'd like for them to do. But yeah, probably around 6 good contests where they're listening, they're absorbing information, they're growing in between camps, they're showing growth in fights, and they've been against good competition and shown that they're going to do well under the lights. And of course, we want to get as many guys in the UFC as possible, but not everybody's destination is there. So as long as you're very coherent in there, responding well to instruction, responding well to the feedback in between the rounds, and yeah, showing off a good array of skills and not too many holes in your game, then and also some of them come to me and say, I want to turn pro, and I'm like, all right. Some people are like, hold on a second, you're only 23. But say if guy gets to the age of 27 and I've been doing this amateur thing for a few years now, I want to turn pro. I'm like, let's do it.
So we have it here where we have some promotions that turn guys pro for $150.
Yeah, we have that too.
You have that too. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see that the parallels in the sport is still there because I know I won't let my guys turn pro for anything under a certain price, and I'd rather that they stayed amateur until then, because if you turn pro for $150, you're losing money on your fight.
Yeah, the way I do it, Ross, to be honest with you, obviously there's quite a number of okay organisations in the UK, probably the leader being Cage Warriors that have a lot of domestic events, and then PFL comes here once, twice a year. I have an agreement with my guys that I kind of do like a bit of a boxing method. So I'll give when they turn pro. Obviously, if there's a good opportunity comes around Europe, Cage Warriors, PFL or whatever, I believe that the level of goal. But I will still give them like we have an agreement in terms of purses and then development fights. So I'll sign a development contract with them for like the first 6 fights. Like say, we'll put on events. Your job is to sell tickets. You pay for your opponent, and then whatever money is over that, that's yours. So then they trust in me that I'm going to pick them the right stepping stone to get to where they're going to get to. And the next fight, we might bring in something else. We need a bit of a different look from here. We need a wrestling based striker. We need a grappler for the next thing. And I'll give them to build them along the way. So they might get to 5-0, and then I'll look to them like European events and say, okay, I know that this guy's battle tested. He's not just had like a tomato can in front of him 4 times, and then he can go on and see where he's at now and build the careers that way. I have them from young. I had Lewis McGrillen since we were 14. I've had Ibrahimov since we were 14 years old. I had Louis Lee Scott since he was 16 years old, and now they're all on it, either in the PFL, fought in the PFL, or on the verge to get into the UFC. So let everybody now sees the way that I do it, and then that's kind of a law for young fighters to come over here and yeah. So yeah, that's how we do it.
I think it's a fantastic way of doing it because, like, I again, it's stepping stones, and you've got to have that path set out, and you know what level of skill each one's going to require to go to the next stepping stone, and then the next stepping stone. Because if you just throw them in and right, okay, let's go. Oh, this guy's okay, and this guy's okay. Let's go at it.
Yeah, and it's good, isn't it, for our own egos? We want to say, okay, we're going to get to this big show. Or maybe an offer comes for a guy that's in a debut who gets to fight in the PFL. I'm like, do you want to get to the PFL or do you want to be the champion of the PFL? Because I could easily get you fights on these big organizations. I have good relationships with all the major organizations around Europe, especially. And I even speak to some of you guys in Aussie. I think I've got one guy on over there soon. So, like, I could get you all these opportunities, but when you get there, do you want to just get there and be like, have it on your profile on Instagram, like a PFL fighter, or do you want to have it where everyone like you don't have to introduce yourself as that, and then they come up to you and they say, "Oh, you're that Lewis McGrillen, or you're Atiba Gautier, or you're Lerone Murphy, aren't you?" I would much prefer that, and I know that how I can get you there and do it the right way. So yeah, some people want to run before they can walk, but most of the guys here understand that when we get there, we're not just there to make up the numbers. You know, we were here to be the very best and to put Manchester firmly on the map, and we can do that as a collective.
I tell the guys because you know Australia's footy, rugby league mad. You know, I say to them,
the Wallabies, mate.
Yeah. Well, the Wallabies play right next to here, so. But
okay,
I'm like, you don't want to just get on the field, do you?
No.
Because that's the easy part, right? Being on the field once means you're a Wallaby, great. You want to be on the field and stay on the field. If you make the UFC, it's amazing, great.
Yeah, not many people do. That's an opportunity.
Yeah, but then you want to stay in the UFC, or you want to stay in PFL. You don't want to just be there. You've got to stay there. And you look at Alex Volkanovski is a great example of someone who's made it and just worked his way and stayed there and stayed there and stayed there. And now everybody knows who he is.
Yeah, he doesn't have to introduce himself anymore. Everyone's coming up to him and probably mithering while he's having his dinner with his family and things like that. So, that's the thing, and I always like preach sporting excellence, you know, and I only want to be around people that are on that same journey, really, because I think that like the team's only as good as its weakest member, isn't it? So like that's what I'm saying about the mentality here. We're 100-0. We want to beat you by 100-0, and then like we want to make sure that you don't ever want to compete against one of us again. That's our whole message here. We want to be the people that everyone fears to go against. Everyone's like, oh, I know these guys are going to be of a good level, and I know that's what we're already at in a domestic and now becoming internationally renowned. So we're right on course. But honestly, I always say it, but we're just getting warmed up, mate. I know with the conveyor belt of people that we've got, and now like Lerone Starr's going to rise. I'm sure he's going to get that fight with Volkanovski soon, and then obviously everyone's seen like Atiba Gautier in his first 2 fights in the UFC, what a destroyer he is, and I've got like a conveyor belt of guys after that, and so it's good. It's good.
And like you say, once you've got your processes and everything starts to go, it's just pump them through. The guys come in the bottom and you do the same process. It mightn't be the same exact process, but the same process to get them where the stepping stones to where you want them to go. Then you're just going to keep producing good quality guys.
Yeah, I know what we have here, and these guys know this. They believe in me, but I believe in them a lot more, and they truly believe in me, and I truly believe that like we are like I don't know if someone was to come and watch the standards that we're setting here, the standards that these guys are aspiring to every single day, like from the ages. Honestly, I've got like some 12-year-old kids who don't go to school and they just train full time, and you should see how good they are. So it's like we're just pushing it through like sporting excellence. We want to be the Manchester City, the Manchester United of MMA in this country, and we're right on schedule to be just that.
Congratulations, mate. I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, Ross, mate. Yeah.
Well, mate, I'd better leave it there because I've actually got to be on a flight tomorrow morning. I'm going to the Solomon Islands to do some training.
What a shame, mate. Yeah.
Where can people find you on your socials?
Yeah, we're a Manchester top team all over. On a personal level, I'm at Carl Prinstagram on Instagram, mate. Yeah, so they can follow me there. But yeah, just follow the team and get behind us and everything like that. And obviously, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to a wider audience. Obviously, having done a few events together, Ross, we didn't touch upon that, mate. Yeah, in the Gold Coast and Brisbane and everything like that. I've been blessed to promote events alongside you and everything like that. So great to reconnect with you, mate. Thanks for I do see the support, mate, and I really appreciate it. And it's always good and I always do the same thing. Like if someone around you is doing well, then you always like lend the support into me. Honestly, I really do appreciate it. I see everything as well. So thank you very much. Hopefully, we'll gain some more fans from the Australia. The old enemy won't get in our way for too long, mate. Yeah, but we're definitely taking the Ashes home this year. Just a brief aside, those are coming back to England, mate, this year.
Well, I'm a Kiwi, so I don't care about the Ashes.
Yeah, I know that, mate. Yeah. We don't care about anything apart from rugby union, mate.
Yeah. The All Blacks. Oh well, that's what we've got to worry about. Thanks for listening to It's Not About the Fight. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and keep up the hard work on and off the mat. Stay tuned for my next chat with another top coach or athlete.